Vladimir Putin has an alleged secret daughter who lives in Paris. And that daughter was confronted by a Ukrainian journalist about what her father, or alleged father, I think it's her father, is doing. Obviously, deciding to massacre people, invade a country because of his own expansionist and ideological ambitions. And thousands and millions are suffering because of it. And so here's the headline that caught my eye. Putin's alleged secret daughter tells Ukrainian journalists she is really sorry for her father's war. And let me jump over to here to watch the clip. Or actually, I think we can watch it. If you'll take that down, I think we can watch an extended version of it here. So just hold. It's a really fascinating video, and you can't miss it. Click the subscribe button while this is loading, and then I'll play this for you. Here we go. I'll try to read the subtitles. 3 weeks ago, your father killed my brother. How do you even live in Europe? This hateful, cursed Europe, using Putin's language. Gay-rup. There it is again. Say something. Do you support his policies? She says, I do not give you permission to film me. The Ukrainian journalist says, well, you know Kyiv is currently without power and there's an air raid alert right now. We didn't give our permission for this either. How do you feel about your father's policies? Do you support him? Do you support him? She says, what does this have to do with me? And he said, well, it's your dad. At the very least, you could call him right now and say, Dad, stop shelling Kyiv. She says, well, of course. He says, well, try it. You could come to Kyiv and perform better than any Patriot air defense system, for example, and go to a war hotspot. And it's quite possible that this whole story, this mess, will end. She says, well, can you imagine? How am I going to go there now? He says, I understand perfectly. I don't see any obstacles. I'll even buy you a plane ticket with my own money, only it won't fly to Kyiv. Because obviously the airport, you can't fly in there right now. She says, unfortunately, I can't help you. I'm very sorry. The journalist says, are there any discussions going on in your family at the dinner table? She says, I'm really sorry, but I can't answer your question. She says, I think I've already talked to you enough. I'm really sorry that this is happening. Unfortunately, I'm not responsible for the situation. And that's where I'll stop it. So you can see, it's kind of, she doesn't want to answer the question. Ultimately, she says, I'm sorry, I can't do anything about this. And obviously, this is a notable clip. And I do find it interesting when children of dictators who rail against certain countries go live in those certain countries. Like in this case, she's in France. You have Xi Jinping's, one of his kids went to Harvard in the United States. It's like, wouldn't you have the best universities there from all you say about us? So that's fascinating. But the sins of the father are not the sins of the daughter, obviously. I don't really know much about her. I don't know anything about her other than this reporting, and don't know where she stands or any of that. Maybe she's trying to live a private life away from him and knows if she ever spoke out, even maybe against his own daughter, he would do something horrible. And she lives separate from him, so it's not like she can control that. The point the journalist made was you could be the most effective air defense imaginable by just going to Ukraine. Because would Putin really allow for his own daughter to be killed? Which again, she didn't decide to be conceived by Putin, the dictator, the murderer. So it's not her responsibility. I definitely believe that. But it was thought-provoking when the Ukrainian journalist, if you really, really felt guilt about what he was doing, you could, if she is indeed his daughter, which she didn't deny it, so it seems like she is, you could do something pretty wild and go say, hey, you want to keep striking Kyiv? Well, I'm here now. Do they communicate at all? I have no idea. And I don't think that she, unless I learned something different about her from her just, it seems trying to live a private life, doesn't have responsibility in what her dad's doing necessarily unless she supports it. But then you had this clip We tried to translate the best that we could of a journalist kind of shocking Putin by saying I met some of these people that she's going to refer to in Ukraine who are Russian speakers. And before all of the aggression by Russia, some of them lived in Ukraine, but then had family in Russia, and would say, there was a time where we thought we had some kinship, where we had some brotherhood, I think was the word that he used, with our neighbors right next to us. And as an independent nation, we needed our sovereignty to be recognized. And we have a unique identity, but we understood that there is a connected history in some ways, and some of them spoke Russian. And they would then express how shocked they were when that didn't even matter. When Putin would proclaim that he doesn't respect Ukraine's sovereignty because there are some people who speak Russian, which is deranged. We speak English. Could the UK come and take America? But that would be some of Putin's argument. Well, there's people there that are sympathetic to Russia, so I have to invade to go get them. And then they would be shocked to find out that actually they get massacred too. Their lives aren't considered any differently. Because it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter if you have shared family. It doesn't matter if you've lived in Russia at some point, if you speak Russian, or any of it. The very identity of Ukraine as a country is to Putin ideologically in a deranged way an insult to him, so he doesn't care. And you'll see he kind of was shocked when a reporter brought this up.
History, and that brings me to what I started doing when the conflict started. I went to Lugansk, Donetsk, Kherson, Lugansk. And most people do speak Russian, they speak Russian. They were very disappointed that, in eastern Ukraine, Kiev banned this language. But they were also shocked that, how does Putin do this to us? We are his people. Many of the women I spoke to were shocked. What can you say to people in eastern Ukraine who have families actually in Russia, who are constantly moving between Russia and Ukraine? What would you say to them?
I did not understand the question. Shocked by what?
The people I'm...
Okay, so she even worded it further of people, I guess, who are even more loyal or feel some loyalty to Russia, which another thing I witnessed there was anyone that would have applied to, it's like whatever Putin's goal here was, similar to him wanting to prevent NATO from expanding, but he actually pushed more countries into joining NATO because of this invasion. Similar effect where whatever affinity to Russia existed within some parts of Ukraine, he's obliterating every single time he kills people's friends and families. Pretty obvious. So then he goes, what? I don't understand. What do you mean? I don't understand the question. And it goes on, but then the translation, we couldn't figure out how to translate. My Russian failed me at the second part. I was able to translate from that. No. All right, we can move on from that.